You can be incredibly capable and completely exhausted at the same time. You can look like you are holding it together and feel like you are unraveling inside. And if that's you, then I want to start here. You are not failing. Today, we're talking about burnout. And it's not a weakness. We're not talking about it in a dramatic way, not as something to fix, but as information. Burnout is a signal and is a message from your body. Hello, my friends. Welcome back. If you are here, that means I did not scare you off with my first episode. And I am so excited that you have chosen to follow along and, go on this journey with me. Today, we are going to talk about burnout. And I know that that is something that can be shamed. It can be, looked at as a weakness, but that's not what we're here to talk about. Most of the women who listen to this podcast are high capacity, high achieving women. You're responsible, you show up, people depend on you. And because of that, you have learned how to override yourself, how to override your signals that your body is trying to give you. That could look like pushing through fatigue. That could look like ignoring your emotional cues. Are you having what I like to call a fragile day? I'm feeling pretty fragile today. Most of the time, that is when I am heading towards burnout. And if I'm not careful, I miss that signal. Now, one of the main things that we see in those experiencing burnout, whether they realize it or not, they're staying productive. They're staying productive despite that depletion, which is doing what can you imagine to your body and to your mind? It's draining the life force out of you. You are constantly minimizing your own needs so that you're not disappointing others, so you're not letting people down. Or maybe because you feel like you have no other choice. I know that was the case for me. I felt like I had no other choice. Like, I'm the mom, I'm the wife, I'm the board president, I'm the, high achiever. I don't have a choice. There's no pause button on life, right? Now, I want to be clear. This is not a podcast just for moms. It's not even a podcast just for women. I know plenty of men out there who go through burnout and face the same challenges. There are single dads. There are just high achievers out there trying not to disappoint. And then you add in that masculine expectation. And I mean, they're going through it too. But today, a lot of my references probably will seem geared more towards what I know, which is being a woman and also being a mom or a friend or a sister or a wife. Let's talk about some of those emotional cues. So I said feeling fragile. That could mean that my husband could just look at me the wrong way and I'm going to have a crumble and he is going to be lost as to what in the world he did. But that could also look like lashing out. It could look like, being short-tempered, not having any patience with your children or your friends or your clients. I know for me, in multiple situations, if I snap on somebody, I have an attitude or I am just so short with them. In my head, I'm thinking, oh God, that was mean. That is not normally me. I need those words to get back in my mouth right now. Well, that's your sign. You're not behaving like yourself. Your body is trying to tell you something. It's not always about the people talking to you. I know when my cute little 3-year-old comes to me with the 15 millionth time of saying mommy for the day. Well, I know I love that. I know I love her. I know I prayed for her. I know that I am not even doing anything important. I know that I'm just overstimulated because I am reaching that breaking point. And so me snapping back at her to, stop or leave mommy alone or whatever, word or phrase may come out of my mouth in that moment of frustration. Well, that looking back, that is heartbreaking. That is not fair for her. That is not fair for her. And I have ignored, in that situation, I have ignored, the signs that my body has given me. And she's getting the brunt of it. Another example I said was staying productive despite that depletion. Well, being productive could also be just being busy. I know I have had a very close friend of mine tell me one time that I am a professional at staying busy, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm being productive. I may be checking things off of a list, but what I'm doing is distracting myself. And you do that despite that depletion, despite that exhaustion, because again, you feel like you have no choice, right? And during that, when you feel like you have no choice, you're minimizing your own needs. And I know we have so many stigmas out there, being too sensitive, or I don't know what all they call a snowflake, whatever the current saying is to make fun of someone else for being emotional or, vulnerable. Well, you've minimized your own needs. You have fought through that cold, fought through that sleep deprivation. You fought through that just physical exhaustion just to check off those boxes, just to show up, just to be there for everyone that you feel like is expecting you to be there. And the thing about that is, these people are people that love you and care about you. And if they knew that you were silently struggling, well, they would be heartbroken, right? And, if you wait until it's too late, well, they're not able to help you. Having that open line of communication is something that I'm currently still learning. My husband is working with me on that to make sure that I am taken care of, but also that I'm communicating with him and I'm not just holding it all in and waiting to crumble, The thing about burnout is it doesn't happen because you're weak. It happens because you have been strong for way, way too long without enough support. And that's not to say that you don't have a great support system. It might just look like you are just killing it at life and they don't know that you need help. It has not hit them. That realization has not happened yet because you have not shown any signs of weakness because you have held yourself to these standards. But when you've been strong for way too long, it's going to happen. Now, we've been taught to see burnout as something personal. Like, think to yourself, I should be able to handle this. There are way worse going on in this world. Other people manage more. I just need to try harder. I am clearly just being weak, Well, burnout's not a character flaw. It's literally a nervous system response. Now, you may look around and see some of the awful things that are happening on the news or happening to other people and in other people's lives. And just because they're having something, awful happen to them or for them or around them, that doesn't mean that your body is not feeling the stress that is happening to you. And that is something that I had to learn. I know people have said this before. There's a book, by this name, The Body Keeps Score. Well, chronic stress keeps the body in survival mode. And survival mode is prioritizing the output over rest. Survival mode is just trying to fight your way through to the next task, to the next goal, to the next to-do list, versus feeling your body, feeling your emotions, taking care of yourself. And when we do that for long enough, well, that is when your body eventually, well, it tells you that it's had enough and that it's not going to let you continue. That can look like, chronic illness. That can look like a collapse, so many things. My first sign should have been when I was diagnosed with shingles in my ear. I've never had shingles before. You couldn't see it. I was just in an unimaginable amount of pain. I had a migraine that went with it for about 3 months. I mean, we're talking MRI. I was convinced I was going to die from a brain tumor. And that's when I listened to my coach and I did some deep, deep inner work. And during that intensive session that I had with her, lasted about 2 full days. Halfway through it, I realized I had zero nerve pain. I could touch my shoulders, my back, my neck, my face. My headache was gone. That is what stress does to you and does to your body. They say 99% of illness, sickness, chronic situations. I mean, that includes cancer, that includes, fibromyalgia, all those things. Anything that is not a genetic disease, they've pretty much chalked it up to where it is psychosomatic. Now, don't turn off your radio. Don't shut me out because I mean, I have plenty of friends with chronic illnesses and they are very real and they are valid in their frustration and their pain and their experience is real. That does not mean it is not real. It means that that is your body's reaction. It is just displaying that in different ways. So if you can get to that root cause, then you can see the rest of that heal and go away. And I know it sounds crazy to say that literally halfway through that session, it was gone after multiple doctor's appointments, multiple conversations. You're talking medications, gabapentin, whatever the doctors suggested, I was willing to try because I was to the point where I was laying in bed sobbing, my head buried in a pillow in a dark room. And that's not fair for anyone around me. I kind of did it to myself. And it just took a little bit of self reflection and a fantastic coach. Thank you, Christina, to point that out and to push me to take care of myself. Now that was the whisper from my body. Well, I take that back. A whisper would have been when I could not feel like I could get enough sleep. It didn't matter what I did. I was exhausted. I wanted to just crumble. That should have been my whisper, right? But eventually your body's going to scream. And when that happens, I mean, I touched on it on the first episode. I wanted everything to stop. I didn't want to die, but my body was trying to turn off that power button, and I wasn't listening to it. And there was only one way, I guess, for it to show me exactly what it needed, which was a pause or a still point. Now, those whispers you may think are normal, and that should tell you a lot about your life and your stress load, but irritability, brain fog, Lord knows brain fog is real. Exhaustion, anxiety, especially in today's world. We're all dealing with some level of anxiety. And when you get to that numbness, that's very concerning. And then you reach that feeling of just being detached from everything. You have to remember that these are not weaknesses. These are actual signals from your body to slow it down, to stop, to breathe. Now, your nervous system, it has one primary job. You got one job, Bob, one job, and that's to keep you safe, right? It is there to keep you safe. Fight or flight. And when life feels overwhelming, whether that be a ridiculous amount of responsibility that has been placed on you or you have taken on, in my situation, constant pressure, grief, all of it, your body shifts into that protection mode. Now, I know we've all heard of fight, flight, or freeze. Well, when you're fighting, that's when you have that irritability. That's when you're snapping on your friends, your kiddos, your coworkers, whatever, your spouse, your partner. And then when you reach that flight, that's when you are avoiding it. You're overworking, you're staying busy. That is, in my situation, it was joining about 3 additional boards for nonprofits. It was burying myself with more obligations, more opportunities so that I didn't have to sit in it and actually feel it. I was distracting myself. And in the moment, I didn't realize that. But looking back, it is so painfully obvious that it's a little bit embarrassing. But after that comes the freeze. And that's when you reach that numbness and that shutdown where you are begging for that silence and begging for that pause button. And some people might look at this as, oh, you need to get a better handle on your calendar. Or I was told once to say, my dance card's full this year, but, I'm very honored, come back to me next year. I'd love to help or I'd love to participate, which is still a great way to look at things. But I still looked at that as I was doing something wrong. I was, not being disciplined enough. But it's not that you need more discipline in your life necessarily. It's that you need more safety. Your mind, your body, your soul, you need more safety. And when I say that, I know I was worried trying to put that into words and talking to my husband because he is my safety. He is my home base. And I didn't mean that in a way that he was not showing up for me. I was not letting him show up for me. They are not kidding when they say that it takes a village. It takes a village to just live and survive this life. Not, you don't have to have children to use that saying. Life is hard. Like our world, our current climate is not just a walk in the park. There are things that happen day in and day out around the world, around the country, or right in front of your face. And if you don't have that reflex to hold on to that safety point, then it's easy to spiral. It's easy to hit that burnout. So, again, when I say you need more safety, that does not mean that the people around you are not being there for you. I mean, they may not be being there for you, but I had a great support system. But I was too stubborn and too prideful, I think, to really take a moment and realize that I did need help. And I'm working on that. I hate feeling like a burden. I hate feeling like I don't want somebody to be like, "Oh, Amber's calling again." I don't want, "What does she need this time?" That's my inner demons, my drunk monkey, whatever you want to put a title to it, just talking. But that's not it. That is not it at all. I encourage you when somebody offers to help you, let them help you. If they're offering it, they mean it. And if they don't, they won't offer it again. And guess what? That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That's on them. If they are offering to help you, let them. Whether that's picking your kiddo up from school or, um, helping you plan the birthday party or put together goodie bags or, you know, organize your house because you're overwhelmed. Let them help you. There was a season in my life where I thought that I just needed to be stronger. I needed to push harder. I needed to keep performing. And my body kept asking for something very, very different. Whether it's me, getting sick or constant migraines. I mean, there for a while, I was going to our local IV infusion place, Hydrate, and I was getting what's called the migraine cocktail infusion to get rid and to hydrate because I was not taking care of myself. And one could look at that as self care, but if I was really taking care of myself, I wouldn't have needed to go to begin with. And, I've had migraines my whole life, but when I am not listening to my body and I'm not feeding it and nurturing it the way it needs to be, then that's how it comes out. So it might be a migraine a week, it might be, a migraine a month, whatever the case may be. It's taking a moment to slow down and recover. And when I told you that I felt the kind of exhaustion that sleep would never touch, it would never fix. I didn't realize then that exhaustion, I mean, all it was doing was trying to protect me. It was doing everything but slapping me in the face, telling me to stop. It was telling me I couldn't keep living disconnected from myself. I mean, my husband noticed, my friends noticed after everything happened. They told me, they're like, we were worried. Well, I didn't listen to them offering help. I didn't listen to their concern. That's on me at that point. Now, since everything's happened and since I did hit my breaking point, I will say my friends and my husband, they don't ask anymore. They don't give me the option to say no. They're kind of bullies like that now. And I love and adore them and appreciate them because they keep me in line and they keep me grounded. And if they see me heading down a road, I mean, they're not afraid to tell me that. Like I see the signs of everything that happened before, Amber. Like you're just piling on too much. You've got to stop. It's me. I have to get better about not coming back with, oh, it's just this or it's just that. They see me for what it is. I need to take a step back, acknowledge that, respect that, and take a breather. Now, maybe you don't feel comfortable being that vulnerable with your circle. Maybe you are not in a position to where you feel like that is your safety net. You know, you could be single, you could be new to a city, whatever the case may be. I get that. I've moved around a lot and I've had to start over multiple times. And I can relate to how alone that can feel. That you are not alone. Let me tell you that you are not alone. If anything, you can reach out to me. I will listen. I will hear you. You will be heard. And we'll get you the help that you need. A lot of times when we reach that burnout, if you look at burnout like it is a signal, when the question is not going to be to ask yourself, like, how do I fix myself? I'm broken. That's not it. You need to remember that what you need to be asking yourself is, what is my body asking for? You don't always need to use your conscious mind. Sometimes you need to do a little self reflection and listen to what your body's trying to tell you. Now, there are 3 very simple reflections that you can kind of use on yourself that I have started using myself. And one of them is, where am I overriding myself? What part of my day in and day out is bringing me joy? And what part is making my palms sweat at the thought of it? Where are you overriding yourself? For me, that could be that I have scheduled my calendar back to back to back to the max, and I didn't have to. I could leverage, I could get help. I have showing assistants to help me with my buyer clients. I have people that can go put out listing signs. I have leverage and help that can help me with my business. I also have friends that have come over and help me fold clothes. I mean, that was something I had to get over quickly because otherwise you would never be able to find my children because they'd be buried in clean laundry. It may be clean laundry, but they're still buried in it somewhere and it is not folded and put away and digging through that basket. So, what am I overriding myself with? Number 2, where do I need support, but I haven't asked for it? And that also took me a long time. I hired what's called a virtual assistant. She is phenomenal, but I worked with her for probably a good 6 months before she was like, Amber, you have got to hand stuff over to me. Like, I am here to help. You are paying me to help. Now stop doing things and let me help. And I needed that. I needed to hear that. So she helped me with, like, you know, preparing paperwork, preparing files before I went on appointments, stuff like that. She also started taking over, like helping me schedule appointments, helping me manage my calendar. I didn't realize how freeing that could be. And some people may feel like, oh, well, it must be nice to be able to afford that. No, it was when I hired her to begin with, it was a part time virtual assistant. And I believe it was like $500 a month. And I still wasn't giving her enough work. It was probably a good year and a half before she was like, okay, now we've kind of reached capacity. We might have to move into a full time. And that was easy. I was like, yes, I kind of like being able to hand tasks off like this. So look at your life and see, like, where do you need support? Where are you being drained at? Is it at work? Is it at home? Do you need help around the house? Do you need help with, school drop off, school pickup? Do you need help with your home in general? And that doesn't mean that you have a partner that's not helping. Running an entire household owning a business, having children, having, social obligations, board obligations on both sides, my husband included. There's no wonder there's no time to fold laundry. There's no wonder there's no time to prepare meals ahead of time. We are constantly flying by the seat of our pants. And so I had to kind of take a step back and look at where I truly needed that help. Now, I had somebody helping to come clean a couple times a month. And was that helpful? Absolutely. But sweeping, vacuuming, mopping, none of that stresses me out. It still left me with the part that stressed me out the absolute most and made me freeze and avoid everything altogether. And that was the laundry. That was organizing, creating systems for the household, all of those types of things. And these things are accessible. There are very affordable options. I know multiple friends of mine. We've talked about getting together to do like a spreadsheet night, or getting together and folding each other's laundry, having a day where we come in and help organize closets or switch over wardrobes, whatever that may be. There you have people around you. And if you don't, we'll find you somebody. I think one of the best things I found in the meantime was that there is an app called Poplin. No, not sponsored. I'm just super excited about it. A friend of mine had recommended it to me, and I thrived on that thing. I call it kind of DoorDash for your laundry. You literally order it, you sit out your laundry on the front porch, they come pick it up, they bring it back the next day, clean and folded. And it's the same price as going to a laundromat. It's, if you're not doing a rush order, it's $1 a pound. And the amount of stress that took off me was great. I then realized that actually putting those clothes away was still not something I was doing regularly. So, we kind of shifted, we kind of pivoted a little bit. And we only use that for emergencies if we get bogged down with laundry. Maybe we're away on a trip or whatever. But I mean, that's another option. Like, you have to look at your life, your day-to-day tasks, and figure out what is silently killing you, honestly. Is it the meal prep? Is it that you feel like you're spending too much money on fast food or takeout because you don't ever have time or energy to cook? Well, there are meal prep businesses. I know here locally, we have multiple restaurants that you can kind of join their dinner club, and you can come pick up, prepared dinner for family of however many you order. And it's not the same as going out to eat. You still get to sit down and talk about your day with your family in the privacy of your home. But sometimes you have to make that shift. Maybe it's time to bust out that crock pot. There are ways around it. But until you sit down and you look at your life and you look at your day to day and find where that anxiety hits and what are you avoiding? You're avoiding something. If you're stressed out, you're avoiding something. So let's slow down. Let's take a look. Like, where can you leverage things out? It doesn't always cost money, but it can cost you your life, and it can cost you your relationships. Another reflection that I have started doing is taking a look at everything. What would make me feel 10% lighter this week? What is one thing that I could do or ask for help with that would lighten that load just 10%, just a little bit? And a good friend of mine told me that she was in a mastermind with some high achieving agents, and one of them was embarrassed but started sharing that they had hired a house manager. Well, a house manager, what am I, like royalty? That's not realistic. Well, the actual details of it, if you actually dig into it, if you are a full-time dual working household with school age children that do anything other than school, it's a lot, especially if you have any type of social life or obligations outside of your work or family. And so my friend told me about that, and that was my reaction. I was like, okay, well, that's not accessible. Well, guess what? It is. just through conversation with a very dear friend who was looking for some additional work, I just flat out asked. I was like, "Have you ever thought about house management?" Well, this chick had done it before. She loves it. She loves putting systems in place. She loves helping. Well, who am I to say no? She has made all the difference, and honestly, she's only been helping us for this is week 2, and I mean, everything. She's just been incredible. She's doing the things that I have been like, "Oh, well, I'll do that this weekend. Oh, I'll get that taken care of. Oh, I'll organize that." She's putting systems in place that I didn't even realize I needed, and very affordable. I chose that route instead of having somebody help with cleaning. She helps with the putting away the laundry, everything. So look in your life at what would make your week, your day just a little bit lighter. And then think backwards from there. There's a way and there's somebody to help you. Now, I will say I used to be that person that thought that, like that must be nice. Um, I had someone in my family that did not work full time, and they had school age children, and they had a housekeeper that came once a week. And I was like, seriously, what is that? Why can't she do it? What's she doing anyways? Shame on me for judging anything, because the mental load alone of running a household is enough to ask for help, much less don't be embarrassed by it. Why would you be embarrassed by asking for help? To me, that is, looking back, that is where the strength is, because you can hide from it. You can choose to just suffer through it and be miserable for yourself, miserable for everybody around you. Um, or you can just get some help and don't be ashamed of it. That top agent was almost embarrassed to talk about it. Everybody in that room was like, tell me more. Please tell me more, because they're all in that same situation. They need help. So that was something big that I learned was even a possibility. I didn't even know that was a thing. So when I say there's help out there, there is help out there. Now, alignment doesn't require a dramatic life change, but it does start with listening to yourself, listening to your needs, and listening to your body. You shouldn't be exhausted 24/7. If you are, there's something wrong. If you are, you need something. You need support in some way or another, whether it be vitamins or actual, leveraging out tasks or help. You need something. So take a look at that. It doesn't make you the strong one because you chose to carry everything. Let me tell you that now, because it took me way too many tears to realize that. That doesn't make you the strong one. It kind of makes you the dumb one, to be honest. I'm talking to myself. I'm not calling you dumb. I am talking to myself. But that doesn't make you the strong one. Like, you are strong because you're willing to pay attention to your needs and to your body. You are strong because you are willing to ask for help. And burnout is not proof that you can't handle life. Again, people, oh, well, it could be worse. It could be worse. I've thought those thoughts too. But burnout isn't proof that you can't handle life, but it's proof that you've been handling way too much alone for way too long. Whether that be your um, unconscious choice, conscious choice, or whether that be your lack of support around you. But at the end of the day, it's because you've been handling too much for too long. Now, I'm sure you've heard the word burnout a million times during this episode, but I'm going to say it again. If this episode resonated with you, I need you to know something very clear. Listen to me and hear it very clearly. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are responding to the pressure in the best way that you possibly know how. So let's fix that. Let's give you more tools. Let's give you more insight. Let's help you listen to your body. Let's help you reach some peace. Next week, we are going to talk about what alignment actually feels like in the body, because once you do understand that, everything else starts to shift. Once you have felt that inner calm, that peace, that deep down rest that I'm talking about, you'll know and you won't look back because you'll never want to feel any other way again. Now, it is something you're going to have to work on, like I said before, every day for the rest of your life. You have to be aware, you have to be in tune. But it is definitely something we are going to learn together. And I hope you decide to keep following along and come on this journey with me. Until then, stay aligned ish.